good afternoon in some places, good morning in others. So should I say good morning in some places and good afternoon in others. I'm Apostle Cheryl, and this morning I'm here to do training session 2 here at Crossroads Christian Ministries in the city of Prattville, Alabama. Thank the Lord for the first session and with Danielle giving her lesson on what the Lord had given her concerning 2 Chronicles 7:14. And one thing that I do love about Christ that I had said a little bit earlier in another teaching, and that was a concerning word if. And 2 Chronicles 7:14, it starts off with if. So see, I know that God had already seen them that say that they were believers, but he saw something in them that was not in the believers. And so, because there's no ifs to the believers or in the believers. The believers are called by his name. They do pray. They do humble themselves. They have turned from their wicked ways. They're seeing the healings and the blessings of the Lord in their land. I love it because everybody, and I thank God for the way that it came and how it was taught this morning. And I'm not going to go back into that. We're going to go forward. Whenever I put on I got this from Tony. When Tony would come and he'd come down and he would, give his offering, pay tithe, give his offering. He would always write something on his envelope. He would always write something on his envelope. And whenever I saw him doing it, then I started doing it also. And this morning, I guess for whatever it was that the Lord was dealing with him with at that particular time, what he summed it up to be, he would sum it up into about 2 or 3 words and just put it on his envelope. And this morning, whenever I paid mine unto the Lord, I put on my envelope, faith forward. Faith forward. And that just really covered a whole lot of everything that I'm going to say to you on today. But the first thing I want to start with on today is I want you to out there to say to yourself, say it out loud to yourself, it doesn't matter. Just say, it's time that the curse that is on my life be reversed. Somebody that know. It's time for the curse that is on my life to be reversed. Be reversed. And you know what? It can be. And if that's what you really do want, I mean, the Lord just had you writing so many different things, and I understand everything, and I'm just going to give it to you because I know God is good, and I know that the lives that some of us are living now. I'm going to start off with this because what I'm going to talk about today is still going back to what he's saying. He said, what you see. And today I'm going to come out of the book Operation Faith, but he allowed me in what he gave me, and I'm going to read to you real brief. It's very brief. I'm going to read to you concerning wise faith, and then I'm going to give you what God gave me. But look at this. I'm going to start first with this. You remember that we talked about this is the year 2020. Everybody knows that, but yet it was said that they don't want you to just write 20, whatever the date, the month, and then it's just 20, because somebody has the opportunity to go back behind the 20 that you write and make it whatever year they want to. I believe that anybody that's able to do something like that, and if they would do that, that is whatever the year is something that happened or did not happen in that year, and by them writing it back on that piece of paper, it's not that they can go back to it, but I believe that there is something, we would think that they're doing it, and they're doing it for one reason, but there's always things that are done, sometimes that the doer is unaware of why they're doing it, right? And it has a meaning, and it has a meaning to it. So I prefer to stay in the time that the Lord has provided that we're in. And with me saying that, what do you see? 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 Let me start by saying this. God will give us safe places. I really didn't want to go into this on camera, but I will say this. God will give us safe places. And I don't want you to take the safe place to be a building. I want you to use the safe place as God will give you someone that you can be naked before. You can truly strip, and there is no judgment to what's seen or what's heard. And if you want to find that in the scripture, you can just go to I think it might be 1 Samuel 18, whatever. That's whenever I'm dealing with Jonathan and David and how the hearts were knitted together. And how the love that they had for one another, it kept them in a place whereas they kept the adversary away from one another. It's okay. But God will give you safe places. And if I were you, I would pray in this year, God give me a safe place. Give me safe places. Give me somebody that's able. You may call your safe place an accountability partner. Give me somebody that's able to, that I can be real, but naked, honestly, truthfully real, and not be judged. But yet they will be able to contain my nakedness and not expose me and not become my adversary in taking what I have given them as them being my advocate, that they will not turn what I'm giving them into being an adversary. Because there are people that you can pour things into, and they will take what you say, and they'll take it and give it to somebody else that's not your friend, and use it against you. So, I mean, I just wanted to just put that out. I'm going to go in depth with that off camera for these that's here. But when they say also that whenever I spoke and I gave you what the Lord had given me concerning the things that God takes away, but yet He shares, He went a little bit deeper and He said, like this, he said, when He takes it away, He said He does not replace what He's taken. He does not replace, but He puts in that place someone else. So He said He adds. He adds. He adds. And the reason why He adds is because that He has taken has gotten to the end of their course, or their work, or their walk. But yet, you still have purpose, and you still have destiny. And with God knowing this and understanding this, He will not replace that person, but He will put in place another that's able to cause us to move and to move on. And still, we'll recognize our purpose, know about our destiny, and we will be able to continue on. Faith is an action word. Some people like to say faith is a muscle that has to be exercised. But I look at faith as being an action word. And I'm going to read to you out of Operation Faith, Wise Faith. And then I'm going to tell you briefly what the Lord has given me for us today, and we're going to be done. Wise faith. Wise faith deals with wise individuals. And wise individuals are discerning. This is what I wrote. They are informed, clever, and sensing. They possess knowledge. They know the truth. Wisdom is the ability to distinguish which parts of knowledge are true. Wisdom is the ability to distinguish which parts of knowledge are true. Knowledge is the one thing that is needed for wisdom to be evoked in the lives of the believers. Wisdom grounded in faith will cause you to exhaust all other outlets. Wisdom grounded in faith will cause you to exhaust all other outlets, sources, and beings. Wisdom will cause you to walk in the direction of the only one who can produce change in you. This kind of faith will cause you to want to hold on to who you are believing in and what you are believing God for. When you begin to walk in the wisdom that must come to you through and by your faith, you will find that you will always acknowledge the power of God in your life. Man, let me say something. Let me just encourage somebody today. Let me start with me first. Because I just thank God for how this particular year has started out. And I'll be the first one to admit, it started out on high. And it's still like, oh my goodness, it was running. The 6th of January, I went back to work. That was a Monday. I went back to work on January 6th after having left the job on the 13th of December. When I got back, long story short, all of this is that there were some things that were waiting for me on the job that I didn't know anything about. And this knowledge that this book speaks of, there's some things that you can know of or know that some things exist, but it's not known to you at that time. You can know things from different people and see things that happen to different people. That's what I'm saying. But it's not really known to you because you have not experienced what they have experienced. Well, there was some things that was on my job that I had to experience. But let me even go back a little bit further than that. I think it was the new year. It might not have been, but anyway. Hannah and Stephen, I had promised them that I would watch my two little girls, Marley and Nene, so that they could just have some time. And then that I could just, be with Marley and Nene because I'm their godmother. And so I needed to get with them and spend some time with them, also. So I told Hannah, but this particular day that I was going to get them, it was going to be, I think it was going to be that Friday evening. But that Friday morning, I wanted to go to Georgia. And I had told Hannah, we texted, I told Hannah, I said, I'm getting ready, I said, I'm going to go. I said, I'll probably be back about 5 this afternoon. I said, then I'll call, I said, then we can meet up. I said, and then you can just give the girls to me then. And then I was going to break them back to, they were going to take me Friday, Saturday, and then they were going to come back to the training center, and Stephen and Hannah would get them on Sunday. Well, I think rain was projected in the forecast that day, if I'm not mistaken. However, at the end of the story, to get something to, I didn't go. I didn't go to Georgia, and I did not let Hannah and Stephen know that I didn't go. So while they were believing that I was going or had gone, I knew that I didn't go. That night, I went to bed, and that stayed on me. And then the next morning, I looked at the clock, and then whenever I woke up and it was still in me. And so I was like, dog, I was looking, I was like, dang, I said, didn't know whether they were really early risers on Saturday morning or not. And then this Saturday, Saturday's my Sabbath, so I didn't know how early they woke. But I waited, and I said, you know what? I said, this is the first thing that I'm going to do. Let me tell you why I'm telling you this, and then let me tell you what faith in God and knowing Him will do for you. Whenever I thought that Hannah and them got up, I called Hannah and I said, Hannah, I said, the first thing I want to do is to let you know, I said, I want to ask you to forgive me. I said, because, see, I already know that I got to get to the crossroads, y'all. And I already know that if I won't get there, I know that the Bible says, it asks us questions like, who will be able to stand in the presence of God? You got to have clean hands and a pure heart. So I already knew what I knew what I didn't, what I said I would do, but I did not do. And I knew how I left them in the place of what they believed that was done or was not done. I said, Hannah, I asked you to forgive me. I said, because I can't know that I lied, that it's a lie, and it stayed a lie. Because I understood, and I told her, I'm so grateful that the Holy Ghost still works in me. Because it would not allow me to just be able to go on walking, being able to see them whenever the time comes for me to see them again, and then just smiling and hugging. No, I could not do it. I said, please forgive me. And I said, and to make my life, I said, I did not, I told her, I'm sorry, I said, I did not go. I said, I didn't go to Columbus. I said, and I know, I said, I just asked that you would forgive me. I said, because it was a lie. I said, I can't let it stay like this. I said, because God said, first of all, He said a lie wasn't going to tarry in His sight. And then how is it that how can He use me? And I know that He can use anything, He can use anybody. Trust me. But I don't want to be used by God with the Holy Spirit in me knowing that I was lying. You be like, oh my God, apostle, yeah, you know what? Even the chiefest apostle, they probably had lying. But anyway, this is right here, we'll get it straight. I told Hannah, I said, no. I said, I ask you to forgive me. I said, and to make the lie true. I said, I will get them. I got them on Sunday, and then I kept them till Tuesday and enjoyed it. It did something, you all. That's why I'm telling you. To be able to repent, it was such an easy thing to do. It was the only thing that really keeps you in a lie is pride and you not wanting to be seen as a liar. And me either. I didn't want to be seen as a liar either. So that's why it behooves you to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you won't be seen as a liar. If you tell the truth, I told Hannah, I said, I got someplace to go. And I can't go knowing what I did. Knowing the place that I left you and Stephen in. And y'all are believing. And I said, I ask you to forgive me. I repented to God. I asked God, please. Because see, that word came to me first through the power of the Holy Ghost that was bound to me. If I went to sleep with it and woke up in it, that wasn't me. It wasn't my mind. It was the Spirit of God in me. That stuff did not agree. It's okay. So you say, okay. What does that have to do with wise faith? What it has to do with faith? It has everything to do with faith. It still lets me know that it not only works, but it was working in me. And I was able to move forward by not keeping a lie in me. And I had to put that out there because so many people believe that because I stand behind this podium, that I don't make mistakes, I don't do things wrong, I don't say things wrong, I don't think things wrong. That no, but I pray, and I have prayed, and I have asked God to create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit. I mean this thing. I really do, because of my spirit and my heart. It has to agree in the presence of God that God will be able to take me to the crossroads. To me, y'all, it's all about the crossroads. And the crossroads is not just for me. When I was driving this morning, I could see. I thought about the acres of land. And then I thought about the situation that God has placed right now in our presence in the lives of some of the believers. And I thought about the acres, and I'm like, my God. I said, not just for the crossroads. I said, God, you could build houses out there. The people people of God can live, it's all right. They can live. They don't have to be worried about, looking for a place to stay. We can build. And you think I'm going to let a lie keep me from God being able to manifest what it is He's already said? Nah, I can't do that. So with all of that being said, and we dealing and reading in you wise faith, let me show you this that God has given. You can go back and you can read about it, but I'm going to, I think it's the 27th chapter of Acts. Let's see. Okay, real quick. Yeah. But what's key is verse 44. Now let me teach you on this right here, and then let me teach to you real quick. Oh my goodness. I thank God because last week was a week of my faith being tried on my job. It was a week, me just getting back, and leadership, knowing what they had already done, knowing what they had already said, and they never even came to me to tell me what they had already said. And yet I had another entity to come in and send us an email and show us what leadership had done. But I thank God because the word of God is true. Sometimes you're going to have to be still and know. You're going to have to be still and know. And I thought about it in this week, and the Lord was dealing with me concerning, He was dealing with me with the Word of God. When He said, James talked about, he said, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Let me read that to you in another version of the Bible. It says, dear brothers, is your life full of difficulties and temptations? Then be happy. Uh-oh. Is your life full of difficulties and temptations? If so, it says for me to be happy. It did not tell me to fret. It didn't tell me to be scared, to be afraid. It says to be happy. Why? He says when you recognize this, he says, for when the way is rough. It did not say my way got rough. He said when the way is rough. I didn't ask for what was put before me. Somebody better say something. I didn't ask for what I see. It wasn't mine. It's not my way, because if it was my way, what I'm going through, what I went through, I would have never went through it. But he says, for when the way is rough, your patience has a chance to grow. All right. Somebody better say something. So let it grow, and don't try to squirm out of your problems.
Yes, Lord.
Uh-oh. For when your patience is finally in full bloom,
okay,
you will be ready for anything. Strong in character,
yes,
full and complete.
all right.
So I was like, oh my goodness. I said, God, you speaking to me. I said, thank you, Jesus. But you know what? That was after I had done kind of trembled behind what it was that was in the week.
Mm.
But don't think that I forgot either about how the year started. Because sometimes we get to a place where, we hear what the Lord is saying, and then what we see, here we go again, what do you see? Then based on what we see is how we react. After having heard, something else comes to block our view on what it is we have currently or previously seen.
Mm-hmm.
So with saying that, let me say this. In Acts, the 27th chapter, verses 44, this is, you can read, it's got a lot of verses in that, but when the Lord gave me this, then this is what I had to refer back to. For it to be, I'm like, gosh, that's word already. This is dealing with Paul and him being on his way to Rome and the different things that he encountered on the way going. Listen real close to what I am saying. Paul was not sitting in a place, and I'm in my mic because they got the fire trucks running out there. Paul was not sitting in a place. Paul knew he had some place to get to. So Paul was in preparation. He was in movement. He was in motion. He was on the way. And see, I believe that that's what the enemy, I believe so much that the enemy sees and he knows that I'm on the way, that you're on the way, that you're on the way. And so he has things that he has thrown further in the path that we have not yet gotten to try to stop us and block us. But it's okay. It's really okay. Y'all, you're going to love this right here. I was blessed. My goodness, when I tell you I was blessed, it talked about the ship that they were on, that Paul too was on. And it gets down to the storm. Take this, you believers that's on the way, that's moving with what God has shown you, moving in the path that God is leading you. He's directing you. He's calling you in. Take this and apply it to your life. Whenever they get to this place and the storm comes, and then they tried to run the ship into the ground that it would land, and they would, like they capsize. I would say like they would probably capsize and land on the beach, but it didn't happen that way. But what I want you to understand, it didn't happen that way. So what happens is in the midst of the storm, and then they're running into that embankment, the ship breaks apart, breaks into pieces. Now listen to me real good. When the people got on board that ship, you all, when we came on board in 2020, and we came into the acceptable year, and we realized what the finally was that God was saying to us, did we anticipate that there would be problems in getting to be able to receive what he said we would finally have? See, that's what we don't all the time talk about in depth. But I believe today that that's the place that we really need to be. So that when the time comes that the finally is here and it's the manifestation of it, it'll be easier for us to get to that place because we will have already been, somebody give me the word. One word start with a P.
Prepare.
Prepare. Oh, somebody is working this. We will have already been prepared. So whenever we meet it, then we can be, just like you said, whenever that difficulty comes, then we can be happy. We can be happy. The troubles, the difficulties, we can be happy. So that's what we got to lay in on this morning. We got to lay in on the place of not knowing what to expect. But what we fail to remember is that we have to expect something. We so often give everything, and we give it from where we are to the end of it. But we never really talk about the in-between. So, and I believe it's what we don't talk about that really gets us and confronts us, whereas we then become shaken into place because we wasn't prepared for what's coming in between. So today we're going to talk about, what's happening in between. See, because whenever you go back and you look at this story, and Paul was even telling them, he said, y'all eat. He said, you have to eat. See, because what they tried to do whenever they really understood that they were in the midst of a bad storm was they were trying to lighten the load to see if the ship would be able to sustain the storm with just some, with everything being lightened with a little less weight. So Paul told them all, he said, y'all eat. Everybody ate. And then it lets us know that they begin to throw things overboard, trying to lighten the ship. See, I'm getting to the place where we got to deal with the difficulties. And in the difficulties, we have to understand that the only thing that God has given us in preparation for the difficulties, the only thing that he's given us that's going to keep us in the difficult times and allow us to be happy is what, y'all? One word, start with F.
Faith.
Faith. I got a smart class. Faith! 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 Faith in difficult times to face the difficulties.
Amen.
Faith in difficult times. You say, well, I had faith. Yeah, you stepped on the boat in faith. But when you stepped on the boat, only thing you knew was that the boat was going to get you to the place.
All right.
You never stepped on the boat considering what would happen between your stepping on the boat and you getting off in the place where the boat is supposed to take you to.
All right. Okay.
And that's what causes such an alarm in people when they're faced with something that was not a part of the original plan when I stepped on board.
That's right. That's right. Come on. Talking.
But that's the place where God want to deal with us
All right.
so that we'll have a successful journey.
Yes, Lord.
Oh my God. So that when we step on board and say, yes, Lord, I'll go. When we step on board, we'll say, yes, Lord, not only I'll go, but I'll go and I'll go knowing that I have what I have need of to get there.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what comes in between my leaving and my arrival.
All right now.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the storm that comes in the midst of all our lives, that comes to upset. Listen, it comes to upset our spirit, but it comes to build our faith.
All right.
Yes, Lord.
It's all right. It comes to upset the spirit, but to build our faith. So look. So Paul told them, he said, okay, he said, y'all done that, we done that, let's throw this grain and stuff, let's throw it overboard. The ship was lighter, but the problem was still there. So here we are again. But trust me, late. What you need is in the ship.
Mm-hmm.
When you get in the storm, still what you need. When you stepped on board, you stepped in to everything you had need of.
All right.
It's all right, y'all.
All right.
You're going to get this thing today.
Mhm.
And whenever the ship, I say the word capsized, and it was all broken to pieces. Listen at what it said in 44. Well, first of all, since they were carrying prisoners on board. See, don't you love it when the Lord gives you an assignment or sets you on the path and you are in the midst of everything, the good, the bad, but everybody has stepped into the same ship, going to the same place. So what am I saying? You better be careful because you never know who's on board.
Come on now.
My God from Zion. When we get up here and the ship is all torn up, that same ship, some of it, when it was disassembled, some of it was boards, planks. Others was just pieces, just pieces. So they were told, and I'm not concerned about the ones that can swim. Because they told the ones that could swim, y'all go ahead.
Try and make this up.
But I'm concerned about the ones when they stepped on board. They stepped on board in faith, believing that they could get to where God was calling them to, or they would be able to get to the other side.
Right.
You find in verse 44, it says that some of them got a hold to the boards, and some on pieces, some on broken pieces.
Yeah.